So this particular plane, this is Sonic Model HD, they call it, from Banggood. And it's a really well-flying wing. I've had a number of problems getting used to the launching of it because it's very tricky on the C of G. I'm operating it with either a 4,000 milliamp hour pack or two 2200s together for C of G purposes mostly. So they're in parallel. It has a just an ordinary lemon receiver, and it has the Big EOL stabilizer or flight controller. This is a unit I've had in a couple planes. It has three modes that can be switched into. It can either be off, or it can be in what they call balance, which is self-leveling, and it will immediately bring, regardless of the attitude, it'll attempt to bring the plane so that the stabilizer itself is horizontal. It will still let you bank maybe about so much, maybe 30 degrees or so, so you still have some control if needed. The third setting for the mode is return to home. At any point when you do return to home, it will immediately go back to where the home was set by the GPS. It'll fly back there, and when it gets back at that point, it'll attempt to do circles, or sometimes it looks like figure eights or jelly beans, but it'll basically stay hovering around and attempt to stay at the same altitude, provided you have some power to the motor. You can sit there all day and watch it. The size of a circle or area that it covers is roughly the size of this flying field, parking lot, etc. So you can sit there and you won't lose sight of it. I've had a few problems in launches, so this has been repaired a couple of times, more than I care to admit. I developed a automatic launch system. Rather than sort of scrambling to get ready to start to give it power and fling it and get your hand onto the stick, this has now become quite easy. I have set up the parameters on my DX9 such that I put in launch mode. I get ready to launch the plane, whether it's by a javelin throw or more conventionally with this plane this way. And I use the momentary button, that's my launch button. When that launch button's pressed, a couple of different things happen during a short period of time, which I've currently set at 2 seconds. First thing that happens is the motor will ramp partially up. It will give a little burst and down again. At the same time, it will give the elevons partial throw in each direction. That's the signal that this thing is alive and in its launch sequence. A very slight pause of maybe a second, and then the motor comes on. Unlike doing it by hand, it comes on smoothly, and I've set it to ramp up over a period of about a second or so from nothing up to full power. At the same time, the Big EOL controller is in self-leveling mode. So as the plane starts to leave my hand, power is being applied, it's trying to stabilize itself in what I've set as its leveling mode. For that matter, in here the Big EOL itself is set on about a 15-degree angle, so that while it's level, the plane's nose is up about 15 degrees. It's about a 15-degree angle of incidence, which of course becomes that angle of attack at low speed. Above stall, but it'll tend to climb. At any time, if I panic with it or decide not to, release the button and everything stops. Otherwise, I keep flying out. Now I've got lots of time to get my hand on the right stick, maybe advance the throttle part way, let go of the button, so now it's out of the launching mode, I have full control, and just keep flying the plane around. So we'll now see if it works. Plug it in and just powered it up. And there will be a little bit of time delay while the system tries to find satellites. It wants to find 9 satellites. The groaning around and so on right now, even though I can move the controls. It's actually by default into self-stabilization mode. Even though I shut off from that, it'll stay in that mode until it's got its satellite fixes. Then it'll just go into the normal mode or whatever I set it at. So while this is all going on, make sure the switches are set. That's going to be in launch mode. Motor is still secured. And we'll take it out here. I think it's found enough satellite because it's no longer trying to self-level. Okay. Put it in cruise mode, and that is self-leveling, working. I always double check that to make sure it seems like it wants to behave. And I take it out of that. I won't be touching that again until after it's launched. Now we try not to slip on the ice in a nice brisk wind. First of all, I'll have to arm the motor and initialize the ESC. Okay, it's fine. So now we're all ready to go. All I have to do is get ready, and I'll press the button. It'll do its quick motor run and a wiggle waggle, slight delay, and then it'll start to add power as I throw it, which I shouldn't have to throw it too much. That's what it's supposed to do. Okay.
I'm not going to zoom or nothing here. I hope I got that.
It worked out really well. You see it's a steady hand.
We can get it half.
Give you a little bit more to see there.
I think we did all right.
Out of the sun.
It's hard to see. Hard to see.
Yeah, I think it's better that way. I got it more of it. I think that's a little less into the sun, isn't it? When I go that way?
Yeah, I think it's getting it, but I'm not sure.
On the snow. Well, maybe not on the snow, maybe on the grass.
Okay.
Thank you.
Gotcha.